What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Yashay here with another one in the video. Back at y'all with another one. Alright, check me out. We just gonna get right into the video. This is Haunted Videos. The link will be in the description down below. For all of y'all that be on here for like 20 seconds, then you leave. Fuck y'all niggas. But for y'all that wanna stay around with your boy, let's get into the vid.
Today I'm taking you on a trip across South America, stopping in the most haunted locations across the continent, and although never visit is in the title, I think on this channel that pretty much means definitely visit, right? Anyone ever been to any of these places on this list? Let me know in the comments. I'm your host James, and these are the top 10 most haunted places in South America you should never visit. By the way guys, if I messed up the pronunciations, I am not from South America. Just so you know. And we're starting off the list with La Noria in Chile. La Noria was a town located in the barren desert of Atacama. That's right, we have a ghost town on here, folks. A destination for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts from across the world. Maybe some of you are one of them. Used to be a mining town in the 1800s, but by the early 1900s, most of the residents had packed up and left, leaving their now crumbling homes and buildings behind. Now, the people who lived there led tough lives. They worked constantly, the climate was harsh, many of them died suddenly, and life expectancy was not high. This is perhaps why the cemetery is said to be the most haunted part of the abandoned town. I guess cemeteries are pretty much the most haunted places anywhere you go, though, to be fair. Visiting there now, you'll see many coffins just out in the open, with skeletons just sitting there for you to see, bones scatter the area, and this is because there was a lot of looting in the area after the town was abandoned, and some say that at night, the souls of the deceased, angered by the tampering of their graves, rise.
I'll be mad too, nigga. Hey, bro, you took my favorite shirt, nigga. Give me back my shirt. Hey, I worked my whole life for that shirt. Come back.
From their graves.
God bless the dead. I'm not making fun of the dead. Nothing. Like, I don't want none of them coming to bother me at night. God bless the dead. But that's how I would feel if I'm having a dirt nap and then I got all my jewelry and everything in my grave, and then mama come in and take my junk. I'm gonna be mad too. I'm gonna come find them in my stuff.
Yeah, I gotta go there. Just the 112th place I have on my list since I started making these videos. Next up, we have the Vampire of Pisco. Now, looking at images of this Peruvian town, I just gotta start by saying, looks lovely. I would definitely visit, but just be warned, you could run into the ghost of a vampire lady if you're not careful. So, our story actually begins in England.
A vampire lady? A vampire lady? She's a bloodsucker. She's a good sucker. She's a sucker. Alright.
England in 1913, where a woman named Sarah Ellen Roberts had been executed for being a witch. Some say she had even been bitten by Dracula himself and was one of his wives, a vampire witch. That's one dangerous woman. Right before her death, she warned that she would return from her grave in 80 years to exact vengeance. The Church of England believed her corpse to be too cursed to bury on holy ground, so her actual husband, not Dracula, sadly, a man by the name of John Roberts, probably the most average, uninteresting, basic name possible, decided to take her body elsewhere. And John traveled all across Europe. No one would have her. He tried Chile, Argentina, with no luck until his quest eventually landed him in Piso, Peru, where he finally lay her to rest. In 2007, there was a massive earthquake in the town, and one of the few tombs left untouched, Sarah Ellen Roberts. A number of Pisco residents say that on some nights you can still see a ghostly woman wandering the streets. Number 8, the Encantado. The mythical creature is said to stalk the forests of the Amazon, residing in the river. But sometimes they come out at night, often shape-shifting into human form. Their real form is that of a serpent or dolphin-like appearance. They're very attracted to parties or social gatherings.
Why is it a pink dolphin, bro? You know mermaids are real, bro.
Who?
So, you know what I'm saying? That might be a mermaid. I gotta find it. What was it called? They had different names, though. You feel me? These were ones like, they'll alert you to where they was at. and try to convince you to come over, and then they'll sink your ship. Like, that's ancient folklore for like people that was in boats and stuff like that, pirates and things of that nature. But yeah, these motherfuckers was real, bro, no cap. But they wasn't as cute and friendly as everybody made them seem like look at this classic type job. I don't even know why I just went into. They had different names though. They had way different names. Cause this is what I gotta say. Everything, nothing came from nothing, bro. Like, when you have an imagination or you think of something, like, yeah, that'll be a cool illustration. 9 times out of 10, it already exists. You're just getting it from a different realm of being. I don't even know if I'm gonna keep this in, but how you imagine things, your mind goes into different realms of thinking. Most people are closed-minded. A closed-minded person only sees on the physical what their eyes see, and they don't want to see no farther because they're scared to explore the unknown. So they can only see what these things see. There's another eye that most people, there's another eye that sees more than what we see on the physical. So when people who have a good imagination, they have 9 times out of 10, they have creative thinking. They have creative thinking, which means their eye can actually open up to a new realm of thinking. Creative thinking is in a higher dimension than just normal. But anyway, let's get back into the video. I done gave y'all a lesson.
Gatherings, especially if there's music. The Encantado are said to be exceptional musicians in human form, hypnotizing their victims with their musical abilities. Once it has its target in its grasp, it whisks them away, dragging them into the waters of the Amazon.
That's what a siren is. That's what a siren is.
Never to be seen or heard from again. If it doesn't decide to take them away, though, these creatures are also known to incite madness or cause illness and death to their victims. So, if you do decide to visit the Amazon and cruise down the majestic river, just be cautious if you happen to come across a beautiful stranger in the dead of night with incredible...
Be careful, because everything in this world is not as it seems. Transformers, robots in disguise. You got a disguise over your eyes. They got a little blindfold over there. You only see what you see. Society don't tell you everything. The things that you're afraid of in the dark, the things that you should seek. You know what I'm saying? You'll figure out more in the world.
Incredible musical talent. Next on the list, we have the Recoleta Cemetery in Argentina. This Buenos Aires cemetery has quite the storied history, with several notable Argentines having been buried there. One of the more harrowing tales of Rufina Cambaceres, who met a gruesome end at the cemetery. Honestly, this is one of my absolute worst fears. Rufina had a privileged life. She was born into a wealthy family. She was popular. She really lived it up. But unfortunately, it was short-lived. In 1902, she suddenly collapsed and was pronounced dead at only 19 years of age. She was placed in a coffin, and she was sealed at a mausoleum at this cemetery. But just a few days after her funeral, a graveyard worker was in her crypt and noticed that her coffin was slightly ajar. And as to why he was in the crypt, I don't really know. I don't know what crypt keepers do. I tried to look it up. All I got were descriptions of the 90s Crypt Keeper series. Great show, but not really what I'm looking for, so let me know in the comments if you know. Anyway, the man opened her coffin and to his horror saw that there were scratch marks on it. Rufina had been buried alive, essentially. Some say that her shadowy figure still roams through this cemetery at night. Number 6, the Rosario.
So she wasn't dead. She wasn't dead. She just passed out. That's one of my worst fears. Like, I pass out and then wake up, just realize that I've been buried. You know what? She probably was getting them good drinks in, because, you know, at 19, getting them good drinks in, walking through the cemetery done fell asleep, or a spirit done got hope to her, knocked her ass out. She wake up to be buried. And sad case.
Mine. This mine, located in the Cerro Rico mountain in Potosi, Bolivia, is exceptionally dangerous. For centuries, miners have descended into the bowels of the earth, braving treacherous conditions in search of silver and other valuable minerals. The working environment is pretty harsh, with cramped and unstable tunnels, limited ventilation, and this constant threat of collapse. Miners work long hours, physically demanding labor, often exposed to harmful dust and
intoxication. Not intoxication, incarceration, suffocation. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I know when 2 other words around it. Suffocation, because it's a cramped space and they deep in the earth. So if that motherfucker, if they yell too loud or something like that, that thing might collapse. Like, you ever been in a mountain, or on a mountain that's snowing, and that bitch snowed on, and somebody yelled and it started an avalanche or something like that. Imagine that deep in the earth's core, and you over here working for pennies, bro. Like, most people do this in a foreign country for pennies that we'll call over here, and they'll be working. If they make too loud of noise, but that whole thing might just, you feel me? That's just crazy. Y'all braver than I am.
Toxic fumes, leading to health issues and a shortened life expectancy if they don't die in the mine. Over the centuries, millions of miners have met their end here. But despite all that, the nature of the job...
Millions, nigga. Over the years, millions.
Continues today, and with all the deaths that have taken place there, it's no surprise that many of the miners believe it to be haunted by the spirits of those who perished in its depths. And many of them claim to have experienced eerie and unexplainable phenomenon within the dark confines of this mine. Miners often pay homage to El Tío, the god of the underworld, whose altar sits at the entrance to the mine. Miners offer cigarettes, alcohol, cocoa leaves to El Tío in hopes of receiving protection and good fortune. And at number 5, we have the Huelma building in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Today, the Huelma building stands, but it's the site of a very tragic incident which took place in 1974. One of the deadliest high-rise fires in history. It was a morning like any other until an air conditioner on the 12th floor short-circuited, engulfing the entire floor in flames, which quickly spread to the rest of the building. Within 20 minutes, the entire building was on fire. Firemen rushed to the scene, but tragically, their ladders could only reach the 15th floor, so everyone above all burnt to death in the flames. And when the dust settled, it was determined that an estimated 179 people lost their lives. While making their way through the torched building, authorities found 13 bodies trapped in the elevator. They had been burnt so badly that they were completely unrecognizable.
That's why I don't fuck with elevators, bro. That's why I don't fuck with elevators. They are not reliable. Matter of fact, why would you trust the elevator anyway in a fire? They wasn't that smart, bro. It was not that smart. Why would you go in the elevator in a fire? A metal room where you have no exit. I can understand, like, if you're back against the wall, everything else done burnt up and you can only go in the elevator. But if you did that by choice, that was a dumb mistake. Cost you your life. But dang, bro, that's crazy. 79.
And were never identified. Their bodies were buried in the Sao Pedro cemetery, and some tell stories of hearing moans and cries of agony coming from their unmarked graves. Number 4, Paso Alberti stations in Buenos Aires. The A line in Buenos Aires is the oldest subway in Latin America, completed in 1913. Building the line was a massive undertaking that tragically claimed...
Bro, this is like that elevator where that video was made where that girl was walking and she was walking to the train tracks, but she She was crawling, like she was walking to the train tracks. And everybody was like, stop, stuff like that. They were trying to stop her. And she just jumped on and they looked at her. I mean, no, wait, all right, I messed up the story. So they were trying to stop her. And then when he grabbed her hand and looked into her eyes, she was like, her eyes is pitch black. And then he let her go. Like, he was terrified type jump. I don't know where I saw that from, but if I can find the clip, I'm going to put it right here.
Claimed the lives of many workers there, including Salvador Vaca and Antonio Salas, were Italian immigrants whose deaths were initially hidden as accidents, but later revealed to be due to pure negligence. Some think that their spirits, along with others who met their ends during the construction, wander through the tracks at night. Some are reported hearing footsteps and catching glimpses of these ghoulish faces passing by the windows as the train speeds down the tunnels. People claim to see white translucent figures in the dark tunnels of these abandoned tracks, and some workers have even witnessed security cameras mysteriously turning off at night only to capture this eerie white figure when turned back on. Phantom Bride in her white gown is said to kind of roam the tunnels, and it leads to speculation that maybe she was abandoned at the altar or met a tragic fate on her wedding day, perhaps throwing herself onto the tracks. Who knows? Number 3, we have the Castillo San Cristobal in San Juan, Puerto Rico. This one has something of a tragic love story behind it. That's exactly what it is. It's military.
Romeo and Juliet, damn.
Military base was built by the Spanish during the Inquisition. The executioner at the base had a daughter, Maria Dolores, who ended up falling in love with a thief named Bentoncourt. Bentoncourt was eventually arrested for his crimes and sentenced to death, and who executed the man? Maria's very own father, of course. And Maria was unaware of her lover's death until she discovered his remains in the gallows one day. She was so heartbroken and devastated that she ended up taking her own life right there and then. It's said that the lover's spirits still haunt this former military base till this very day. And coming in at our number 2 spot, I'm sure you've all heard of this one, the Island of Dolls in Mexico City. And yes, Mexico, not technically South America, right? But it's close. Plus, is there anything more unsettling to look at than a doll? Maybe multiple dolls. Now hang them all from trees in a forest. No surprise why this is one of the most famous creepy locations on the planet. The Island of Dolls in Mexico City's Xochimilco canals, that's a pretty eerie sight. It's covered with dolls.
Don't they put the dolls to like it symbolizes like dead kids or something like that? Like kids that have died, they put a doll up. Couldn't be me. You would not see me there.
Hanging from trees and scattered about. It's their dead eyes and messed up faces. Story goes that a man named Don Julian Santana Barrera started hanging the dolls in order to appease the spirit of a drowned girl that he found in the canal. Lots of people think that the island is now haunted. They say the dolls move their heads, whisper, and make spooky sounds. The Island of Dolls has become quite a tourist attraction. Some say the place feels like you're being watched by these ghostly forces. And finally, we have the Casa Matusita. Lima's Casa Matusita is a haunted residence that instills fear in people for a pretty good reason. It's got some dark history that dates back to Peru's colonial period when a woman of Persian...
Les Casa Malasita. Let me know if I said it right.
descent became its first notable resident. Accused of witchcraft during the Spanish Inquisition, she was sentenced to death and cursed the land before burning at the stake. And so things only got worse when a wealthy and cruel landlord built a large home on this cursed plot of land. He mistreated his staff, and he unknowingly pushed them to seek revenge during a high-profile dinner party. The staff spiked guests' drinks with hallucinogenic, but their prank kind of backfired tragically when the guests started brutally massacring each other. Decades later, the Matusita family moved in, setting up a business on the first floor, and a violent incident occurred when Mr. Matusita discovered his wife in bed with another dude, causing the man to snap, take the life of his wife, her lover, and finally himself. With all that said, I've been your host James, and I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video. You, yes, and with... But their prank kind of backfired tragically when the guests started brutally massacring each other. Decades later, the Matusita family moved in, setting up a business on the first floor, and a violent incident occurred when Mr. Matusita discovered his wife in bed with another dude, causing the man to snap, take the life of his wife, her lover, and finally himself. With all that said, I've been your host, James.
Bitches always cheating. They get mad. Bitches always cheating. Anyway, that's the video for y'all. Love y'all bitches still. With that being said, if you ain't welcome nowhere else, you welcome here. That's why I say that afterwards. Like I say, Army Mafia Gang. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. This has been top 10 most haunted places in South America. Now, I don't think those are the most haunted, but we'll take their word for it. If you enjoy it, like, comment, subscribe. The next video is going to be on the screen right now. See y'all later. Peace.